Hey everybody, welcome to my channel. This is the second part of every game I've played with. If you haven't seen the first one, then you will find a link in the description. There's a difference this time. I've made a tier list, so I'll give the games a rank. First, I ranked the games from the previous video just to make a complete list. Ratchet & Clank Size Matters, Secret Agent Clank and Ape Academy all get a C. Lego Batman the video game gets an S, I think it deserves it. Lego Harry Potter Years 5 to 7 gets an A. Geronimo Stilton Return to the Kingdom of Fantasy gets a B. And finally, Cloud with a Chance of Meatballs gets a D. A D rank. So with that out of the way, where did we stop? Oh yeah, the PSP. Well, I had fun with it, but that was only the beginning. That's because a couple of years later, my cousin gave me his tablet. Yep, he had his own tablet. It wasn't anything special, it was a device which was bought from the airline KLM, but man, it was so awesome. You might wonder why he didn't need it anymore. It's simple, he used another one. It wasn't technically his, but it was shared in his family. It was a bigger and better one, a Samsung tablet, of course it was better. Anyways, I received the KLM tablet, so history pretty much repeated itself. And this, my friends, is how I got introduced to the world of apps. I'd like to make one thing clear. The tablet couldn't download anything else that wasn't already installed. I don't know why, it was weird. But there was a great choice of games anyways, so this became my new favorite device. Thinking back, I might have had a slight addiction. I spent maybe a bit too much time with these games. Normally, I wouldn't go over the games because they are mobile games after all, but some of them mean much to me, and many of them are nostalgic classic mobile games. So let's jump into a rather relatable past. The biggest games were definitely the Angry Birds games. I loved them so much they work perfectly with the touchscreen. Most of them are the same, but they all have slight differences. The very first Angry Birds is perfect in itself. This is the game that made the franchise known worldwide. It's very simple. You just shoot birds from slingshots and try to destroy the pigs who are green for some reason. Every bird, excluding red, has a special ability and can destroy a certain kind of terrain better. Oh yeah, you can also collect golden eggs that unlock very cool stages. It's very satisfying when you trash a whole base with one shot and make a huge mess. Angry Birds has always been addictive because of all this. It's way more entertaining than it should be. So I give it an S rank. Angry Birds Seasons is more or less the same, it's just revolved around celebrations. It's not so great, it has fewer levels and these seasons might add some singularity, but they're not very interesting. The game is a bit pointless. B rank. Angry Birds Rio is very good. Once again, it's mostly the same, but here you save caged birds, and obviously it's based on the also great Rio animated film. The places and the characters are also taken from the film. You can even launch Blue as an Angry Bird. And have I even mentioned the banger main theme? What more could I say? It's an Angry Birds game, that's all. A rank. Finally, I think the most creative part of them all is Angry Birds Space. This is my personal favorite, everything just looks so awesome. I love the gravitational places, you cannot simply shoot in a straight line this time. Many levels are very creative as well. For example, there's a boss fight, yes, there are even boss fights, against a pig who eats popcorn. What you need to do is burn the popcorns so that he becomes disgusted. I love it! To make your job easier, the game gives you a line that shows you how the bird will fly. It's short, but after all the other games, it's a huge help. There are new birds as well. Icebird and Bubbles were new additions, and actually the other birds' abilities were changed too. Finally, Red got a special ability. The game is amazing. If you ask me, this was the highest point of the franchise for a long time. So it's an easy S rank. Now that I think about it, I played some of these Angry Birds games on laptop as well. I managed to find the original games or a close replica. In fact, you can still find these games, even the original versions. A huge congrats to the Flash games community even after the death of the Flash player. It's so cool that you can play with these games. I had a couple of Garfield games as well. The one I played last with was Garfield's Diner. You basically have to serve the customers what they want. It's pretty simple and becomes repetitive after a while. I don't know why I spent so much time with it, I didn't really like it. There was another Garfield's Diner game but with a summer skin. It's called Garfield's Diner Hawaii. It was exactly the same. C rank for both games. The other Garfield game, however, was much better. Introducing Garfield's Defense. You probably haven't even heard about it, even though it's a hidden gem. You have to defend the fridge from incoming alien food or whatever. It's very fun. It's mostly a tower defense game where you can call your buddies such as Odie or Roy the rooster to help. Garfield fights actively as well. You can upgrade the characters and objects, and after a while you can even unlock 2 different special worlds. The game is fairly long, but it never got boring. I beat it and I recommend it. It's not available on app stores, but it's probably available online. I can't say for sure. It has 2 sequels. The second part is surely unavailable, but I'm not sure about the third part. Wait, is that seriously a match-free? Anyways, A rank for the first game. The next game is Ninjump. It's very bare bones, you jump from left to right or the other way around, and if you destroy 3 of the same things, you get a power up. It's an endless runner, I played it from time to time, but it's a forgettable game. C rank. Next up, Where's My Water? This game is simple but fun once again. Your goal is to take the water from point A to point B. However, you can only dig and activate some switches. It's a cute, funny and entertaining game. Many of you have probably played with it. Sadly, you don't get much for free. You have to pay for more levels, which sucks. It's not different in the sequel either, but at least you can watch some ads instead. The game itself is good though. There's always a different obstacle you have to overcome. I give it a B rank. That's everything that was worth mentioning. There were some other games, but they aren't very important. There was a game called Slice It where you had to slice plain figures to equal parts. Trust me, there were some very intense levels I couldn't solve. I didn't really like it. There was a true tower defense game I played a lot, but I can't remember the name of it. That one was pretty good. And finally, there was a 3D maze. There are thousands of 3D mazes and most of them are the same. You know, you have to get the ball to the right hole by missing the wrong holes and navigating through the maze. It was a fine, relaxing game. No, actually, there were crazy stages. It wasn't relaxing. I casually used the tablet from time to time. Unfortunately, once it had a strange error and from that point I couldn't play with many Angry Birds games for some reason. I think Angry Birds Seasons was the only one that survived. The tablet worked for like 6 more months and then it totally busted. Since it wasn't just a simple tablet, nobody could repair it. But you know what? The charger became terrible too. I know what it's like when it can only charge from one specific angle. Oh, it's terrible. I almost ripped my hair out many times. I guess after that I stick to PSP and Flash games. Yeah, I still play those occasionally. However, the next big change came in 2014. I was in 3rd grade at the time. Oh, how time flies. Anyways, I mentioned many devices my cousin had, but I missed one. Actually 2. So my cousin just got a Wii U and he didn't need his previous console anymore. Now knowing the previous cases, can you guess what he did with that console? Of course he gave it to me. I really appreciate that I received so many things just like that. The question is, what was that console? Well, it isn't simply a console for me. It's the thing that had considerably changed my life. Ladies and gentlemen, and others, the matchless, the only one, the amazing Nintendo Wii. This was my first home console and I absolutely loved it. I've tried it before when we visited my cousin and I was jealous from there on. A device that can play video games and sense your motions? Sign me up! I was so excited when I received it. It was for my 10th birthday, I think. From this point on, I always try to spend an hour or so with Wii games. Just imagine this. You get home after a long school day. You learn everything. I was diligent, trust me. And when you're done, you play a bit. An awesome life to have. But it was even better during breaks when you didn't have to learn anything. At least it always was for the first couple of days. I didn't get as many games for starters as in the case of the PSP, but I still received 4 games. The first one that immediately caught my attention was Mario Party 8. Holy cow, I've played with this game for ages. Chances are you have played with a board game. Well, Mario Party is a virtual board game. What more could you ask for? I loved and actually still love the concept. I returned over and over and over again. For almost a year, this was pretty much the only game I played. Sadly, I played it alone, which wasn't a problem, but now I know that it's much better with friends. Mario Party 8 has 6 quite different boards and a ton of fun minigames. You don't know real competition until you try Shake It Up. I've had some very serious battles. Legend has it that even some blood had been spilled. Okay, jokes aside, this is a very addictive game. It doesn't matter whether you play it alone or with friends, whether you play aggressively or you use some 200 IQ tactics, it's Mario Party. Anything can happen. To be honest, some boards are a bit lame. It's not great, for example, when you get a star for free. You just have to get to the end of a linear board. There's nothing special about it. Okay, there is, but whatever. The candy system is pretty good. It feels quite natural. Overall, I still love this game and it's great with friends. It hasn't aged as well as some of my other favorite games, but I could still play with it. Sadly, the sequels messed up everything for a long time. This game is easily an S rank for me. The next game is Mario Kart Wii! Woohoo! There aren't many racing games I've played with, but this is my favorite. You can drive a car with an actual steering wheel made out of plastic. Does that not sound great? Oh yeah, it's also affordable, unlike, Why is Mario Kart Wii so great? First, the tracks. There's a strong selection of old and new tracks, which is essential for a racing game. The later ones are quite challenging. There's no person on earth who has never fallen off Rainbow Road. Second, the gameplay. Mario Kart is not an ordinary racing franchise. You get items that can totally change a race. Are you left behind? You get a bullet bill. Are you very ahead? Blue shell for you. You can get bombarded with the different items. Yes, it's a terrible feeling. The items, however, make a race much more interesting. You are never safe. Never! Even when you are sure about it. But I wouldn't like this game so much without the different modes. You can play a Grand Prix, a versus race, or even battle alone. There's also time attack, but let's be honest, nobody plays with that mode. The casual races are fun, but sometimes you just want to screw up as many people as you can in a car or on a motorcycle. Once again, the game is better with friends. Oh, I didn't even warn you. Mario Party and Mario Kart are destroyers of friendships, so be careful. See, there was once a friend of mine who lost in Mario Kart Wii. I became first at the very last moment. We've never talked since. Okay, no, I'm kidding. I've played a lot with this game too. I've won every gold cup and I think I have every car and character I can get offline. Unsurprisingly, the online mode doesn't work now. Or does it? Believe it or not, there's an active community to this day. You can install a mod and you will very likely find some players. It's awesome. Mario Kart Wii hasn't aged a bit. You can hardly find a better racing game. Well, I guess there's Mario Kart 8. Oh well. So once again, this is a great and a memorable game. S rank. The third game is Kirby's Adventure V, also known as Kirby's Return to Dreamland in America. This is a nice platformer, but it's not very easy. At least it wasn't back then. That's why I haven't played a lot with it initially. I found it a bit frustrating and challenging, but later on I started to like the game and spent more and more time with it. Just to know, this was my first and yet kind of last Kirby game. I know it's similar to the other entries, but it has a nice atmosphere, fun gameplay, interesting bonus modes, and a surprisingly good story. I enjoyed going through it, even though it was quite frustrating at times, and it probably contributed to my love of platformers. Actually, if I think about it, this was the first proper platformer I've played. That's almost shocking. When I first saw there was an extra mode which was basically a harder difficulty, I wasn't very interested, but then I gave it a shot. I ended up going through this too, and I was determined to complete the game 100%. That meant collecting all the energy spheres and beating both the arena and the true arena. These are boss rush modes. It took me a while, but I did it and I was so proud of myself. Maybe this is one thing that motivates me when I decide to complete games. Nowadays I try to do as much as I can, but sometimes I go too far. This is why I try to step a bit back. Anyways, the game is fun to play alone or with friends. The copy abilities are cool, and as I said, the minigames and challenges are also good. Interestingly enough, the community has fond memories too and finds it outstanding in the Kirby franchise. The thing is, I like this game, but somehow it's not as memorable as other V games in my opinion. Still, it's a pretty good platformer. Oh yeah, it's just been remade for the Nintendo Switch, so try it out if you can. I give it an A rank. The fourth and final game beyond the starters is Madagascar Cards. Yes, I know it's a weaker game compared to the others, but I only received it. But actually, it's not even bad. Listen, Mario Kart is much better than this racing game, but at least it has a soul, it's not just a crash grab. So what is Madagascar Cards like? I just said it. It's a worse Mario Kart game with some interesting stuff. You can choose from 9 different characters, including Madagascar and other DreamWorks characters. Yes, you can even race with Shrek. Best character in the game. There are only 3 cups sadly, but they are interesting. For example, there's a track on a ship, a track in a volcano, and of course, a track in the zoo. There are usually several paths you can take. The turns can be tedious, especially with someone who has terrible grip. Naturally, being a card game, there are items that are not bad. It's cool that everybody has its own special item, something that Mario Kart Wii doesn't have, but Double Dash does. There are a couple of modes including Championship, Time Attack and Checkpoint Race where you have to collect hourglasses to keep going. I couldn't find it, but I believe there was also some kind of a battle mode where you had to keep something. The possibly coolest part, however, is the fact that this game had in-game achievements. Unlike Sony and Microsoft, Nintendo still doesn't have a universal trophy system for all games, so it's cool to see a game that solved this problem. I tried to collect as many as I could. I swear this is the only game that motivated me to actually play with the time attack mode and get the best time possible. The trophies are a big reason why I kept returning. I'd say there was even a point when I spent more time with this game than with Mario Kart Wii. Ultimately though, Mario Kart aged better, and to be honest, it's a more polished game. I tried to return to this game after like a year-long break, but I realized how different the controls were and I just couldn't get back into it. I sold it a bit later, so I don't have it now. Nostalgia probably makes this game better, otherwise it's a mid-racing game. It has some good aspects, but I've seen better. Still, I give it a B rank. So this is how my time with the Wii started, and it became better and better as time passed. That's all we had time for today, more will be covered in the next episode. However, if there's no interest in the series, then I'll probably stop it. Thank you for watching this video. If you liked it, then please leave a like and subscribe to my channel. See you next time. Bye.